Have you ever thought about why mid-gray is 18% and not 50%? I mean, if something is supposed to be middle, shouldn't it literally be in the middle? And even more interestingly, why does that middle shift from one camera to another, or from one color space to another? And how does this shifting middle point affect exposure? So in today's video, we are going to break down all of these questions and explore what mid-gray actually is, why we call it 18% gray, why it changes across color spaces and cameras, and why understanding it can change, the way you expose and color grade your images. So if you are ready, let's dive in. Alright, so first let's clarify what mid-gray actually is. The simplest way to think about mid-gray is this. It is the camera's idea of normal brightness. In other words, it's the center reference point the camera uses to judge the rest of the image. So based on that reference point, the camera is constantly asking, is this part of the image brighter than normal, or darker than normal, or somewhere around the middle? And that middle point, that normal reference, is what we call 18% gray. Now, this is usually where people get confused, because when you hear middle gray, or the middle of something, your brain naturally goes, okay, so it should be 50%, right? Like halfway between black and white. But surprisingly, that is not how human vision works. Our eyes do not perceive brightness linearly. Our perception of brightness is much more compressed and non-linear than, simple linear math. Let me give you a simple example for this. Imagine walking into a room where one wall is completely black and the opposite wall is purely white. Now, logically, you might expect the average brightness of that room to feel, somewhere around 50%. But perceptually, or psychologically, the room would still feel very bright to you. That is because the white wall would dominate our visual perception far more aggressively than the black wall subtracts from it. So the room would feel much brighter than the math would suggest. Now, let's open this up a little more with another example. Imagine a grayscale chart from black to white. If I ask you to point to, the exact middle of that grayscale mathematically, you would naturally choose 50%, right in the center. But perceptually, to the human eye, that is not really how it feels. Here is what I mean. Our eyes would still perceive that 50% midpoint as too bright to feel like middle gray. And instead, our perception would shift further toward the darker side to find what feels like the visual midpoint, the mid-gray. And that perceptual midpoint lands roughly around 18% gray. So that's why we treat 18% gray as normal or average brightness, when judging brightness levels in an image. And this reveals another interesting thing, and I'll try to simplify it for you. Because we perceive 18% gray as the visual midpoint on a grayscale chart, our eyes are extremely sensitive to tiny brightness differences in the darker regions below it. You can almost think of it like an accordion opening up. As 18% gray moves toward the center of our perception, due to the nature of our eyes, the shadows below it sort of expand perceptually in our vision, giving us much more, tonal separation there. Therefore, our eyes can detect, very small changes in shadows, like depth, separation, and detail. But as things get brighter and brighter, our perception starts compressing those differences together. That is why if a dark object changes slightly in brightness, you notice it immediately. But let me tell you this, if the brightness of the sun suddenly drops from 100% to 80%, well, most people would barely notice. So overall, this is the key idea. Human vision does not distribute perceptual precision evenly across brightness. Our eyes allocate much more, perceptual sensitivity toward shadows and midtones than toward extreme highlights. And because cameras are designed around human vision, camera systems also don't treat brightness linearly. This is exactly why Midgrey is not placed at 50%. Because if cameras stored brightness linearly, we would waste an enormous amount of image information on highlights that our eyes barely differentiate, while of course starving the shadows and midtones where human perception is actually more sensitive. So instead, imaging systems intentionally redistribute tonal precision. They give more perceptual space to darker and mid-tone regions and progressively compress brighter regions together. But now comes another interesting question. If 18% gray is supposed to be the normal midpoint, then why does it sometimes move around from, one camera to another, or from one color space to another? Well, the simplest way to think about it is this. Different camera systems, or color spaces, are designed to distribute brightness information differently. Some systems prioritize preserving more highlight information, others prioritize cleaner shadows. Some create more contrast earlier, others keep the image flatter for post-production flexibility. And because of that, the exact position where middle gray lands inside the signal can shift slightly. Not because the idea of middle gray changed, but because different systems are organizing brightness information differently under the hood. Now, having learned all of this, what does it actually tell us about exposure and color grading? And why can, understanding mid-gray completely change the way you expose and color grade your images? Well, once you understand that middle gray is the camera's perceptual anchor point, you stop thinking about exposure as simply making the image brighter or darker. Instead, you think about it more like, where am I placing the tonal balance of the image? How am I distributing the tonal relationship? Because every exposure decision is really a decision about where middle gray sits and how much room remains above it for highlights and below it for shadows. For instance, if you expose too low, you may have more room for highlights and preserve them in a healthier way, but you may start starving the shadows of usable information. And later in color grading, those shadows can become noisy, muddy, and fragile. On the other hand, if you expose too high, you would allocate more room to your shadows and feed them beautifully. But now highlights can start clipping and collapsing since you have limited room for them. So exposure becomes a balancing act around middle gray. If it is a darker scene and your shadows are at risk, well, maybe you expose a little brighter to protect cleaner shadow information for the grade later. If it is an extremely bright scene, like sunny weather, maybe your priority becomes protecting highlights without completely crushing the shadows. Every scene is different, every camera is different. And that balancing act is a huge part of cinematography. And once you understand this, color grading also starts making much more sense. Because grading is not just adding contrast or making images look cinematic. A huge part of grading is actually redistributing tonal relationships around middle gray. Sometimes we darken shadows to create depth. Sometimes we compress highlights to make them feel softer and more cinematic. Sometimes we even reshape the entire tonal balance of the image. But all of that depends on how much usable information survived around middle gray during capture. And honestly, this is why understanding middle gray changes everything. Because once you truly understand it, you stop exposing randomly and start exposing intentionally for post-production. This is incredibly important because exposure decisions directly affect how far an image can be pushed later in post. And honestly, this is also why involving your colorist early can make such a big difference. Because color grading is not just about making the image look pretty at the end. A lot of it actually starts during exposure and capture on the set. And the more usable information survives into post, the more cinematic flexibility you have later during grading. And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment below, especially if there are any other filmmaking or color grading concepts you'd like me to, break down like this. And as always, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.